It's the
He's got him the waylay. But there is those
waylay.
changes on the other side. Solka's now in the Tejo. Shadows just away completely also from that double sentinel that was the staple for Koi this year.
Yeah, no, I think I really actually like this Movistar Koi composition looking at it. I think the amount of aggressiveness and explosiveness they're going to be able to have behind that breach, behind that race, behind that Tejo. I'm expecting a lot of micro fights going on between those agents. And Gentlemates, well, I just hope that Click's waylay performance can improve better going into this fracture.
I mean, you've got Flyer on the other side of this. Like, you know, I want to see Flyer be able to mitigate some of that waylayness. Waylayness?
Waylayness.
Yeah,
waylayness. Yeah, but especially with Movistar Koi starting on the attack. Come on, guys, you just want them to start this one with a banger. Feeler's been having a great day, so Shadows, Solka, set him up.
Yeah, and the last Vamos Koi from Mitch and Tom was a little bit, you know, you could do way better than that. They might be able to win this series. Come on, Mitch and Tom, get behind the boys.
Absolutely not. I'm not biased. I don't mind who wins this series. I think it could be either team. I'm not rooting against Kata, but it would be nice to see them take a series. After all, they've now broken the curse of a map, and not only that, Tom, they're coming in after a dominant victory, 13-6 on the previous. If ever there was a chance, this is it.
You're a big fan of the French language, so how would you say "let's go, mates" in French?
Allons-y, mates!
There you go. Sue got the opposite of what she wanted. But yeah, going into this map, it's a bit of a weird one because firstly, I'm a little bit worried because I see the last time that it was played by mates, they lost 18-16, and I'm getting some flashbacks to yesterday.
A few OTs.
But also they're 0-3 for the year, so it's not been a particularly good map for them. In like my prediction of the veto, this was the map that I thought that maybe Koi would actually go to choose. So I think that they've landed in a decent place for them. Obviously switching a few things up with their composition. I think Solkas sticking with that Tejo. He's been very good throughout the day, so I'm very happy to see that. It does put Shadows into a more supportive role, but I don't mind that either.
I'm very excited to see how this waylay works out for Click as well. We're looking at the stats there, and nobody has done this in EMEA so far. So excited to see what the ideas are and where those pieces of utility will end up falling. Fracture, one of my favorite maps to cast always, and between these two teams, well, it could be mud fights or it could be precise Valorant. We'll see how things evolve. After all, Gentlemates, you said they've played this a bit, they've had their OTs, and that's somewhere that gives them an opportunity to build on the losses that they've previously had. You win or you learn. Let's see which it was, which it will be today. Movistar Koi on the attack and straight into the B side. But Tom, it's mostly being left open. Mini is watching it, looking to pounce off his trips, but they've destroyed them, and he's just left for a retake.
Complete A-site stack out from the defensive side. They're now going to go running in from behind. Now, there is a cam there. If that cam gets popped, that is all the information. And Flyer's Lurk has already picked off the one other avenue that they will have had.
There's the cam.
Cam popped. Will eventually be destroyed, but that should be every single player being spotted. Pilu picking up another. Leaving 3 players to try and run through a smoke on a ramp. Mitch loves some controller assists, and there's high potential for them here.
Absolutely are, but Gravino's taking matters into his own hands, finding himself the double and closing out another pistol round for Movistar Koi. They are not letting these ones slide. You often talk about those early rounds as, oh, they could go either way, but so far in this series, they only go Movistar Koi.
Did we have our stat backwards? Was that actually the amount they'd lost? Because it really does seem crazy. That I wonder if we can bring that back, like at the start of the day, what their pistol win percentage was, because it's improving.
We don't lose those pistols. Somewhere around. We don't lose those pistols, exactly. You did before this series. I think it was 37%, give or take 1 or 2. And now, well, a much, well, 100% so far. 5 out of 5. And Gentlemates left down to just classics. It should be an easy follow-up. Every round they put on the board takes them closer to a series win.
It's weird though, because they never buy anything in these rounds, but I feel like every time Koi come out with only 2 players.
Well, it's because there's been so many classic kills. Yeah, they like Zipan, I think last time picked up a double. In almost every round there's someone.
Kata had 1, but it wasn't with the mates classic, so it doesn't count.
Exactly. Not gonna add that one up to the tally. A little bit of aggression.
Be right back.
Tiny bit of damage. Realistically. Not expecting a lot from these classics.
Going for the one-tap classic.
Isolated. And he's gotten a decent bit done there. Shadows down to 28. Solka's tagged from the earlier fight. Gravino's arm has been stripped.
Mini's the one to watch. Ah. That could be a problem. See, he still wins just a straight 1v1. I think that was the one pistol player, but even still. And now you got the crossfire, Kamek with another. It's always, I said it, two people survive. It's the same thing every time. And they were low as well. Like, they took some serious damage moving into that site.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going back towards two players that had pushed them. They take them down and they commit to that angle. Well, the rotates are easily found ahead of time. And that early damage, yes, you win the pistol, you win the follow-up, but you're almost forced into a full investment here. Or is it giving the round away with minimal damage and an economy builder for Gentlemates?
Well, you've heard of Mystic Meg. That was Mystic Egg. That's my prediction for that round. But yeah, we'll see what they could do. Because again, they've had some pretty decent conversion, or at least, again, damage with what they've had in these sort of moments. Mini gonna just try and survive in a pretty unorthodox position.
Yeah, well, he wanted to play up in tower, but the molly that was sent in pushes him back, and that's why they take tower control themselves.
Ooh.
Looking to pressure Mini, and he'll eventually fall. Damage done on site. Movistar Koi getting ahead in some of these duels. There's upgrades to be found as well, and making the best of a bad situation. The spam even lights Kata to 38 HP. He is clinging on to life with both hands. It's going to be an aggressive peek from Shados. He knew that Zipam was there, and that Click was there too. But they're not able to convert the picks, leaving Solkas all alone. So he's got the perfect utility for this play. Salvos to buy a little bit of time, but he wants a pick as they cross. There's salvos of their own that are sent into relatively the right spot, but he's got an angle behind. Buying time. They'll get it to half first, though. That's the problem with Click's head removed. It's only one left standing. Low HP on Tipan, and a wall bang is enough. A Red Bull clutch from Solkas, and that's 3 in a row for Movistar Koi.
He's really been having a day. I think that picking up this tail, he's looked fantastic across the maps. Just able to put utility in to set himself up. I think in previous rosters, we always talked about him having to almost take a back seat in a lot of these scenarios, and well, it came close in the end, but...
What was that?
Don't know.
Well, he ain't losing those. You're right about that.
I agree with half of the same.
Which half?
The first half.
Okay. I'm not sure how you disagree with the second part.
I don't know.
What's your counterpoint?
It made me feel uncomfortable, and that's enough for me to disagree.
I didn't like it.
Yep.
I'm not sure why. Well, Gentlemates, 0 rounds on the board and economy in the bin. They're going to be coming in with Sheriffs, 5 of them, in fact. An ultimate in play for Zipam, but not likely to see the light of day in this round. It's just a bit of an overinvestment if you throw that one through. Movistar Koi, gentle rotation. It's going to be 5 towards the B side. Traps covering off their back. And look, if they do go diving in, there is a danger that the traps catch them. But more importantly, you've got Kata and Mini crossfire enabled as soon as the cam spots contact with Sheriffs in hand. It's not an easy fight. Off your feet!
Well, he has gone flying higher than anyone seen before, and he ends up going down to the salvo. Unfortunate. Kamek does well.
Through smoke.
They do have themselves, well, now an extra pick, and they've got the Omega. Yeah, I was about to say, is that going to be thrown into play? It is, and that's enough to displace Solkas from position. A solid spot from Flyer, but he's only going to get one. And after all of that in the last round, solid work from Koi. This one falls flat versus the pistols.
And great utility as well from Mini. It's his traps that have to be dealt with. They give a trigger point for those spams through the smoke. I don't know if we'll see it in the replay, but Kamek landed a hell of a shot. I don't know if there was a reveal. I don't think so. Let's see. It was just after this.
It's also, you lose a round to a pay-safe cast Thrifty when you had the opener and you used that Rolling Thunder in the middle of it all. That has got to sting for the side of Movistar Koi. And now your opponents, well, okay, the showstopper's on your side, but definitely have a slightly better purchase. And even looking like they're going to invest into an Outlaw, they've got a good read on the shield situation of their opponents.
Operator for Click going in, but he won't be finding much around that angle. Movistar Koi giving up on north side control. They've got a trap to cover, push up from B and expecting no aggression on Dish. Look at the rotations from Gentlemates. It seems a little bit over-eager. 4 players go to B. In fact, Kata was on his way, but now he's sat up in heaven. Opportunity to pick up 1 or 2. The cage has robbed him of that. And look, they even burned their showstopper here, assuming that there'll be players closer. Kamek manages to stop them. Rolling Thunder was online already, and it'll be deployed right after these salvos. Stun already gone. So in terms of the and indeed Aftershock, this is great. They're burning up utility very early on. An off pick, and they might not need that Rolling Thunder. In fact, it won't be available because Kamek's lost his head. But as said, everything else is going right. It's going their way. Flya struggling, and he won't land those shots. Grabinho has to pick up all the pieces, and a damn good try of it. But Gentlemates get there in the end with the defuse.
Yeah, this round honestly just looked like an incredible read from the side of Gentlemates. They saw the showstopper. They went, we're going to completely avoid the site. Know that, okay, if we're playing any close corner or any of these aggressive angles that we've had before, that showstopper will pick us off. We'll let them have the site. We have Rolling Thunder. It's perfect for the retake. Now, they didn't get to use it. They didn't need to use it. But I just like the plan that they had overall.
I think they were setting up to this moments ago, so it's almost a saving grace that Kamek gets picked off as the round starts to fall into their hands. A good attempt in the end. Grabinho, he was right with that call. He left one on 10 HP. The other fight onto Mini could have changed the game. Mini took the ult orb from the defuse, interestingly, instead of giving it to Kata for the orbital strike, so they'll have the opportunity to pick up some info early on. In this round, though, it's all about Click. Opening duel with that operator. Weak weapons from Movistar Koi, but we have seen stranger rounds so far.
That was sort of the more interesting thing for me, is obviously you switch out your Neon for a Waylay. I think Neon has always been a pretty strong performer, and when you've had rough attack sides, I feel like a lot of the time Neon can help you out quite a bit on the defense with these aggressive fast rotations and those pushes. But so far it seems like a lot of the plan is to have those sort of walk downs from Click and just basically take those aggressive fights with the operator. Now Flya has got way too much space. A little bit of an oversight from Mates, which will garner a kill. The thing is that wherever they go, they're pushing into a two-player setup. They don't really have the weaponry for it.
Yeah, and the constantly changing traps in play for Mini, giving them that information when the push comes through. Cam already broken. Good opportunity to catch them unaware. Salvos will send them back, buy space for the walkout, and maybe they can even get a plant out of this situation. If they do, Solkas, massive utility. Oh my, they've taken Kata. The op up close. Solkas, yeah, I think he was spotted. It looks like Click's aware. He's coming in, but it's a stinger on the other side. He had to hit his shot, and he does. Right away with the connection. And there's the ult for Mini. Good thing he had that online. Information falling into their hands. Great stun. Filu in trouble. Salvos, and he's being watched by 3. They know exactly where Shados is too. No utility to help him out, and an op holding the angle. There was no way back in. Gentlemates, back up neck and neck.
Yeah, nice round from Click. I think very aware of every sort of risk. Wasn't overzealous in the round, especially versus the Pistols, consistently waiting for there to be a player ready to trade. And I think a round that very, very easily could have got out of control ends up being just quite comfortable because of that, because of his read, because of the positioning. Well, that will be the scoreline leveled up in their game versus Foot. It was that defensive side where they were able to get a majority of the rounds. And well, after having that early lead, after having a bonus that eventually ended up slipping, Koi have decided to take a pause.
So a good time to talk about expectations coming in here, Tom. Starting out on the attack side for Movistar Koi, we already know that they're going to win the pistol and follow-ups, right? They get a 3-0 start. Where do you think the goalposts are for this squad coming out of half one?
Wait, it's weird because both teams have obviously changed their compositions quite a bit from the last time we saw them play, but you go back to Koi versus Liquid and they put up slightly more rounds when it came to their defensive side. But I will say, when they played that Liquid squad, they came up against what, in my opinion, was one of the worst comps we've seen so far. No duelist, where they attempted to basically have camo flashing on Gecko. I really didn't enjoy it. So
and they did better on the defense against that.
Yeah,
so
it's kind of one of those, like, they won the map, they did well, but I don't like what their opponent is doing. So I think it's hard to read into how they'll play on this one, but I do think that there's a lot of potential for aggression on that defense when you have that sort of Teo in combination with Breach and the Raze. So I'd say realistically, I think it's going to be fairly even all the way through, but maybe I'd add both teams on that defensive side just a bit.
Well, for Mates, it means time to keep putting up rounds. They're 3 in a row so far, but they've been tight. Movistar Koi always getting boots on the ground, a plant out of these situations and losing out in the post plant. Big ultimates online, Grabinho and Solkas. So it's not like you want them to have that plant. And Click can keep getting away with this early fight towards main on B that finds an easy pick. Filu down in the dirt. You talk about the difficulties of attack sides without duelists. Well, that's the boat the Movistar Koi are in now.
I think as well, this is my almost perfect use of the refract. By having an operator, defensive side, you can push somewhere and you can, if anybody, you miss your shot, you're out. And you can go very far back into safe position. So I think that's where the value's come in. Kada, he's got to get something from this and he doesn't. That was the one real danger of this round. Rolling Thunder, well, it's been saved for quite a few rounds. I can only assume we're getting that same retake.
Ready?
And actually, no, they're going to try and deny it before they plant, but they failed at that.
Yeah, because Click can dash in past the molly, but now able to convert on one. Players in main. He's turned his back, but he swings back in just in time. Ult gonna be sent through deep. Flya suspected in the corner, but Kamek can't deal with him. Players thinning out, and it's only Click left. He can put pressure on, maybe even get this defuse halfway. But he wants to get ahead of the issue, wants to force the fight, knowing that the orbital strike is on its way. Half HP because of that laser, and now Grabinho's ready to swing in from main. Halfway, he won't even get there. Movistar Koi putting an end to the Gentlemates win streak.
Yeah, timing just slightly off, I think, on the Rolling Thunder. Maybe trying to just catch the player who was planting, but I assume that there was some attempt to try and deny it before it actually went through, and I think that was the turning point. Mentioned it in the moment, like, Kada being close to that smoke, you kind of expected to get something from there, and falling, that was the site under enemy control. A good round from Koi. After the pause, they will take back the lead. Oh, a little bit of frustration. You can understand it. Like, two players run through, the slight whiff, and that turns the round on its head. Especially with how well they've been doing, or Click has been doing, I should say, at getting openings. That's got to be a little bit irritating.
Yeah, credit to Flya for being able to do so much. Those initial fights on the site last time, Movistar Koi, they're not out of the woods just yet. Gentlemates still able to fully invest. Click's op will still be in play. And Mini is running around causing havoc with a Vandal. He's even going aggressive for more, and it could be a mistake that cost them dearly. Kada stepping up to the plate for two. It's Shados on his own. A double kill needed to close out this round. A plant still to be secured and an op on its way, but he gets ahead of him. Had the angle, but Click swings in to close this one out. Back and forth with the rounds. Gentlemates answer up to the disruption of Movistar Koi, and the problem is those attackers don't have the same credits to fall back on.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to have to see if Movistar Koi eventually shift where they're placing their Rolling Thunder. Because I think both times they've tried to use it into this B site, both times it's gone up towards the tower, maybe expecting somebody to be there, and both times they've been wrecked the second they tried to use it. So
show yourself you can.
It's seeming like more of a hindrance than something that actually helps them. And as you said, economically, now completely in the bin.
That op from Click repositioned now to Arcade. Full north side control. They see nobody outside Arcade. Drone goes in. Dish, no one there. So a molly to delay, a rotation to come in as Mini now makes it to the site. A deep push from Click to confirm nobody north side. That information can be held now deep into the round. For Movistar Koi, they are walking into a stacked up site. And that's very early.
I guess maybe wary that that was a position on the map they lost, and now they're going to go pushing into it. This seems like a complete misread on the scenario. Well, I say that, but they clearly thought somebody was there. But then when the ult didn't connect, they continue that push forward. Even still, the crossfire will seemingly be enough. Grabinho's done well, though. With the ult from Soulcast still online, with a rifle retrieved in his hands. The only problem is he has to cross to the site, which is, well, pretty unfortunate from where the positions of his opponents currently are. Well, Zipan makes that pick a little bit too easy. Okay, eventually. I was a bit worried they weren't going to check. I was nervous for them after the stun connects, but...
What a strange round. The decision-making to put in the orbital strike, you're already up against a low buy. So that in and of itself seems like a heavy commitment. But then the late push up with a breeze flash, and it didn't even catch most of the players.
Yeah.
That's the real problem here.
It feels like both teams' ults have actually been more of a hindrance than help, which is quite funny. It's not something you see very often, but hey, I think the team that should have won the round did win the round, so I'm happy at least.
They got there in the end. They did. It's costly in terms of ultimates, but they've got something to still fall back on with Zipan. Looking at the other side, it's the same thing. Teho ult for both squads. Aggressive play. We've seen it a couple rounds now. It's the first time Movistar Koi have ran into it for Click. He's not afraid to go back. Posting up early round now using the refract. One and done. He is out of there. 5v4. Movistar Koi, they go looking in the other direction, but look at this double push up as well. Kata alongside Zipan. And they get there just in time to catch Crabinho. Now you're going to make that push without your duelist and without your smokes.
Getting into this angle is difficult. They try the jump across, which will at least get them in towards the tower, although info is definitely there. All 5 players rotating through the spawn, and they just cannot get past this operator. Click has been a menace in this map. He's had some rougher performances this season on the duelist, but he has been terrifying. A close angle held, but Flyer only going to get the one, and for Soulcast at this stage, the only real hope is damage.
30 seconds left.
Fly got into that position really quickly. I thought there was a chance that he could fly under the radar, make it costly, but
Fly
under the radar. But he doesn't. They still clear it, even though he gets one pick, and the same thing for the last player. It doesn't matter. The trades are there every time. Mates playing this one together, and again, look at the start Movistar Koi have had. They win the pistol, follow-up, and third round. They lose to a weaker investment, and now we're at 6-4 after a 3-0 beginning. Trailing on the attack side. An 8 rounds still possible with Mates having all the wind in their sails, but the big difference here, Tom, investment coming up for Koi, 3 ultis online, Filu, 3 and 9. He has been having a tough time. Opening duels have gone against him, but now he's got that showstopper. Last time, Kamek ripped his head off.
Yeah, seems like the pace is going to be picked up.
Fire.
I can only assume that the ult is coming. It doesn't matter. It's Click again. This guy really doesn't feel like he's been missing. He'll be able to bypass the ult. In fact, his teammate will as well. Flyer and Shados combine. But a lot of damage being done, and Kata coming in from behind will get both. It is just a field day with Soulcast trying to ruin the parade, and he's doing a damn good job of it. One left standing, it's that operator again, and Click will ruin and rain on that parade. A real nice attempt, but not quite to be.
Even the stun was absolutely perfect, and a real shame they couldn't get there in the end.
Always waffling.
Always waffling, aren't they?
He didn't even notice he's on camera.
Oh, Kim and Pal. They're deep in talking about the micro of this game. And right here, look, the stun was perfect. Beautiful shot here. Great correction. And it catches him, but just peeking out.
Fake hope, guys. Calma, tranquilo, Soulcast, tranquilo.
Well, 1 round left to play for. Click's reposition as well. Playing this round, the previous from Dish, when previously he's always been on B.
He's been
such a headache. And he just has this global control with the operator from Movistar Koi. They're about to run into him again. The reposition at Click. I think he's won every fight up here in heaven. And he's cleared it out, holding the rope. You're about to walk right into his waiting arms.
Filu's got to be so salty. Oh, no. Well, he eventually falls. Not enough bullets left to take out Soulcast, but I feel like Filu has just been a magnet for that operator. Wherever he goes, he's like, don't be in the tower up close. That would be a ridiculous place to play with an AWP. And well, he's walked it into it again and again and again.
I can't see the head-to-heads, but he's 0 and 5 in opening duels, and I think at least 3 of those must be the AWP. It could even be 4. Position spotted. Salvo's on their way, but Mini seemingly under no threat.
Enemy remaining.
Keeps control, hat off his head, and it's not in respect. It's to close it out. All the info for Zipan, and a clean double to put them 8-4 in the lead.
Yeah, after a slow start to the map, it's been almost dominant from the side of Mates. They only need a few more, and they'll be taking this 2-1. We'll find out after the break.
Remaining. Spike down A. Reloading.
That's what following.
Just waiting for the defuse to come on through, the time ticking down. All you need to find is one headshot. Might just be able to clock this one out and send them to the grand final.
It's all left on Vanya's shoulders.
There's one way to do it. That is the way to do it.
Koi have already claimed their first map of the stage. The question is, was that their last? A series win on the cards, but after a 3-0 start, only one round sprinkled amongst a sea of Gentlemates victories. Now they move to the defensive side, and they shall be truly put to the test. A big comeback needed, but Tom, they've won every pistol round so far. One more could set them on the right path.
To make it all the more exciting, we're taking you back.
It's time to go back.
See, it's just like your ranked games, except Click can aim slightly better than you can. Oh, there we go. HUD's decided. Make a resurgence already, though. That's going to be Soulcast getting the opener. They need to keep that pistol streak going. 5 for 5 so far in the series, but a post plant to face off against Click. Looking to get aggressive, doesn't have the refract, doesn't have anything to play with. In fact, other than the pistol in his hands, his position will be known. His utility was non-existent, and he's still going strong. One of the best performances we've seen from him individually, but he is going to get flanked on. Filu finally dealing with his demons. But Mini might just be the voice in the back of his head. It's gonna, well, it should have been the bullet in the back of his head. Instead, it will be a little bit whiffy.
Wow, it couldn't have ended any other way, Tom. Movistar Koi taking a pistol round. That's 6 for 6 so far.
100% win rate.
In this series. And only this series, but it is a massive improvement on what we've seen, where, as we saw starting out the series, their win rate has been atrocious. One of the worst in the world when it comes to pistols.
Really?
We needed slow-mo for that.
Remember, just double every run. Double kills every run.
I don't think I've ever heard Shados make that sound before.
That's actually him doing Whale Song.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, I fall asleep to that every night.
That's what he's doing. He's trying to make his opponents fall asleep.
Oh, follow up from the pistol. You said it before, Tom. It's always been 2 players left alive for Movistar Koi. A little miss from Click. He's slow to follow up, and Gravino's picking them apart. Much healthier looking round from Movistar Koi. Doesn't get much worse with that. Only the one pick.
There you go.
Mini's got one. He's gone to the frenzy, though. That could be a big mistake. He's been a demon with the classic. Sulcus is low. Opportunity here. But he's got support. Philo up top.
Not really a reason to peek this any wider. They're actually... This is not the man I'd want to challenge. I understand he's low, but keeping on to that weaponry, seemingly more important. Looking to just break the trend of how many players are left standing, and they will. It's going to be 3 to survive this time out. A slight improvement for Movistar Koi, who will get to keep some of that weaponry. Did they get the Bulldog at the end? Maybe they did. I don't know.
I think I walked out 1 Bulldog, a Vandal, and a Spectre. It's not the worst. Certainly not as bad as it has been before for this squad. They'll be able to come into the next without pulling any punches. An extra Bulldog pulled in for investment. And for Gentlemates, 8-6. The gap closing, but rifles come out here. Click with a big performance in the early half in these last 2 rounds. He's almost got his ultimate online and ready to rumble. Look at Movistar Koi's response. Noise heard on south side. They go pushing into north, and Mini's under pressure. He's being hunted down. No way out. And a free pick, really, for Grabinho. Can't retrieve the weapon, but at least they've got the advantage to work with.
Solkas under pressure. Slows, stuns. Everything in the kitchen sink thrown at him, but he now has a little bit of help from his friends. 4 players on the side that is being fought for. Filu's position clear, but he'll be able to dance his way through the smokes. And actually, if they reposition towards the spawn, they could actually make it to the B side. There is still a player there, and well, with the casualties alone, that might make it just that little bit more difficult.
That is the second nade from Filu thrown out as well. The first completely halted the push from Gentlemates. Now as they move towards the B side, steps are heard from the cam. Flya, he's got eyes on, and they've realized now the rotation from Movistar Koi will take quite a while. He's only got a stinger to work with. We don't want to see him going swinging out wide. In fact, even conceding the plant. And from this point, you might assume that he's just not on site. Maybe he's somewhere else. Having rotated to A, just left the cam behind, but now they've realized their mistake. And it's Click in a 1v4 to defend that spike. It's planted for him at least, but it's not an easy fight. They've seen him. They'll swing together and close this one out. Movistar Koi climbing back, rising up to the challenge. Now 1 round behind Gentlemates and hungry for their first series win.
They won the first 3 rounds in the first half. They won the second 3 rounds, or in the second half.
Yep.
And they have 7 rounds. In other words,
I'm swinging here.
I'm waiting to see what happens in the next one before I start getting too excited. Then again, I'm looking at the amount of stingers, but with that convergence path for Click, I do wonder if they're just going to try and run it down onto some of these players with rifles. Cheeky little speed boost.
There's a good chance. And hell, you stick as a team or even split like this, you maybe even have a better chance. But the reality is, Movistar Koi, they've got 3 players on the right side of the map. They're not playing deep into angles, so they won't be fully caught off by these players. The dash in, spotted, Filu ready. Well, I'm not sure what Kamek thought was happening there, but he did not have the free space he thought he did. Swing out from Filu, doesn't get there, but it's a 2v4 that he's left his teammates in. Easily secured by the rest of the squad, and that is the mold broken. 4 in a row for Movistar Koi, 8-8, neck and neck. And getting ever closer to picking up that series that's evaded them. Look at the top, 0-4. No maps picked up along the way, but today, everything is changing.
They've broken one by getting their first map after 9 straight map losses. Now they're looking to break the 4 series streak. Imagine.
I see the rolling, they hating.
4 in stage 1. And the difference now, though, is obviously when you have that defensive side operator, there's good opportunities for Click to find value without having to take crazy risks. Wow, speaking of crazy risks, a complete pincer.
I don't think I've seen that one before.
I don't think we needed to follow that. I'll be honest with you. I could tell that wasn't going anywhere.
That is a new one for me, let me tell you. It was just singing, they see me rolling, they
If we just saw the map collapse, just like the full north side of the map.
Tech Flyer.
This is a nasty position. And he's got 5-3 for it. The IGL finally adding the fragging as well. 4 for him. Kada, last man standing. Well, 1v5 ace needed. He got the first.
Damn solid performance from Flya. Orb taken, spam is good though, and Kada will be dropped in the end. He gets more orbs than he bargained for in that fight. 9 on the board. Movistar Koi, 5 in a row. The lead now theirs. And that was a full buy coming out of Gentlemates that Flya single-handedly tore to shred. Okay. Who thought that was needed? Oh, wow, look how close that was, Tom.
I'm so glad that we had a third-person camera of that, just so we could see where it went.
absolutely nuts. And obviously for Gentlemates, they're not expecting someone to be there. There was heavy rotations early on from Movistar Koi. They pushed outside on A. They got all that control, so then you're a little more comfortable to embed and cut off those rotations, keep that map control. But there was no way that Gentlemates could have known that that had happened. Still, the fact that 2 players swing to start with, they had the right idea. They were ready for him being there. Yet Fly had just hit his shots, and in no more important of a moment could he have stepped up.
That said, I think it's going to be much more difficult for Click to sort of keep that performance going on the attack. But you're the guy diving in, taking space to come out with a multi-frag in rounds is much more difficult than what we saw on the defense. And without him, it is much more of an even playing field, maybe even leaning slightly the way of Movistar Koi. Soulcast has been having, I'd say, one of, if not his best series of the tournament so far. Swinging here.
No surprise there, though. 31% of his team's first engagements. I think it's probably more.
Well, I know it wasn't Kim because he's too busy waffling in the crowd. So that one I think was written by William. Getting the credit he deserves.
Thank you, Captain Cal. 9-8 for Movistar Koi. The lead taken. Ult's online. Orbital Strike. Not far from Rolling Thunder either. And Solka's just 2 away.
They're taking so much space every single round.
Free.
The first, we saw them go all the way on that south side. Now they've taken the full north side. Now it doesn't give them full info as to where their opponents are actually going, but they can start to put the pieces together. Soulcast moving closer into the corner. Grabinho also has that orbital strike if they need it. Although it might not be damage, they may just want it to delay.
They even leave that trap online. They've got the information, but they don't want Gentlemates to know just how far ahead of the play they are. Movistar Koi with a big opportunity. Orbital Strike put in. It forces the dash out of Click. He's wide on sight with no one to help him out. Solkas ends up going down. Nade and a salvo good as Kata falls and numbers thinning. Gentlemates being left in the dust. Rolling Thunder put through, but Mini doesn't want to swing. He's 45 HP, waits for them, but Flya ducks under his shot. And the plant, the reposition afterwards, but the info is there for his opposition. Kamek, man who walked away with an ace earlier, great stun. Aftershock put through as well. Pressure on.
They split them.
He's going to reposition, but they're just grouping back up. Looking to take this fight together. It needs to be a nasty spray, a double takedown. They haven't got a ton of utility, but still a flash on Shados. Where does that get thrown? Backside or into main? In fact, it's the jump peek across. It's risky. It's giving him a chance. The spam puts pressure on, but Shados is defusing and he's going to stick it all the way. The spam doesn't get him. Shados saves the play with that defuse and even takes Kamek down after. Double digits for Movistar Koi. We knew they had a strong start in every half, Tom, but this is getting ridiculous.
That's disgusting, though. The initial, this is what we said about sort of combining those ults. It was the convergence path sent in alongside an ultra strike just to eliminate Soulcast. But then while dying, he places salvos and trades himself, which again, not too common. I think a lot of the spam damage actually went onto Flyer instead. Wow. A little bit of, NA toxicity coming out.
Oh yeah.
Us guys in the EMEA are much more chill. Just watch Padatek when he played against Gentlemates.
Or most teams.
We had to bleep 99%, but the rest was just telling Kamek that he was baiting. That was I enjoyed those comms, I'll be honest.
Well, having mentioned the combination of ultimates, combinations of utility, there's a very dangerous duo online for Movistar Koi. Perfect for a retake. But in fact, look at the aggression coming out of Philo. A good read with so many players. 4. The only one that he can hit who can survive a shot of this weapon is Mini. Anyone else will fall to a single barrel being emptied in their direction, but Philo realizes the full force is coming his way. He backs off, concedes the space, and that's because they have these ultimates. Rolling Thunder, Armageddon can come through and completely annihilate these players.
Yeah, they know it though. You can see how far forward these players are actually pushing. Click wanting to get all the way towards their spawn. And he hasn't checked the corner. He's not cleared it properly. Luckily, the trade is almost immediate. But as they look to go even further forward, it's another drop. The salvos take down Zipan, and all that is left is Kamek. Another body hits the floor. 11-8 for Koi. They are running away with this defensive half. And I'll be honest, I said that maybe it'd be slightly better on the defense. I think I was wrong.
Yeah, well, 7 in a row is hard to predict. let's say. And we saw Gentlemates in the last map use their timeouts early on. They've kept this one late, but after a 7th conceded round, after a beautiful combination of utility from Movistar Koi 2 rounds in a row, they are now calling that timeout. Their final one to touch base with their squad. 2 rounds needed for Movistar Koi to do what they failed to do all stage long. They may have waited until it's too late for playoffs, but it's not too late to claim back that pride.
Pride and a championship point. I think the former may be more valuable with how things have gone, but we'll see. Maybe in the future that point can make all the difference.
Maybe.
Of the squad. Just not ending with that goose egg on the scoreboard. Taking one over on mates. But actually put them above them in the head-to-head, won't it? They'll literally not finish last if they win this game.
Yep.
So mates will be the one at the bottom of the table. Maybe some conversations will have to be had, but which is crazy as well, considering if we see Liquid get the victory, the only team to have beaten them will have been mates, and then they finish last in the group. But in a weird group.
Again, like, I feel like in a lot of Movistar Koi's games, we haven't come in and gone, oh, it was close. Oh, they were real close to taking that. But when it comes to mates, they've had their OTs that they lose and then they run out of steam right after.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing is, like, you could imagine a world where they take those series 2-1, where maybe if they come in with the victory, they look a little better on map 2. But that hasn't been the case so far, and yeah, it's how the cookie crumbles. Movistar Koi with the chance to claim that extra spot up above. As you said, a chance point, but I think for these players, they just don't want to end the stage without a single win on the board. Dash in from Click, caught by Flya. He's been phenomenal so far. Finally put to bed, but Philo and Grabinho quickly filling in the space. Spike is theirs, and it looks like another round for Movistar Koi. After a pause from Gentlemates, they get nothing.
That's crazy as well, because that position has been consistently played by Soulcast, so I think him being able to get away with that is very surprising. Well, okay. A 1v1 for Zipan. He'll take fights like that all day long. The nade will do a little bit of extra chip damage.
There.
You do have to be careful. Salvo's forcing them out. Another fight taken, but then the swing comes in from behind. Soulcast alongside Zipan as well. And that is going to be 12-8 now in favor of Movistar Koi.
I would have called you a fool, Tom. We started out today and you told me we're going to be 12-8, 4 chances for Movistar Koi to take a series. I'd say, well, they haven't had one so far this stage, so I don't believe you. But here we are, and against Gentlemates, with a streak of rounds like this, they were 8-4 at the half, Tom. 8-4 to 12-8. How they've managed this will be studied. Some parts of it maybe don't need to be. One round between them, 4 chances to close us out, and a weak investment from mates. They've decided to go together to A main.
They're trying to pick up the pace, but instead they've been met by the operator. They've been expecting, after struggling on this site for a couple of rounds, that their opponents will make a misread, make a response in the other direction. Solid flash will make it a little bit tougher. Soulcast on the site can only garner the one. With Shados desperately low, he will also fall. His spot has been held by Filu, but he can't do too much about it. They're aggressing forward. Flya, this battle may end up being everything. Instead, it's going to be the switch up, an attempt to get to the site, and it's actually Mini to get that kill, coming back in from the spawn.
I don't know how he's managed that, but fair enough. An ambitious play with the shorty. One that unfortunately hasn't worked out this time.
He expected Mini to be further away, which is fair enough after he goes for the fight in spawn, but I want to see the last kill.
Oh.
Fair enough, fair enough.
I'll tell you what though, if Filu won the round with that play, they would be singing his name in the streets of Spain tonight. There would be no rest. Sergio Ferra's voice wouldn't be audible for at least a week. But 3 rounds.
I think Uli would break the sound barrier.
Absolutely. 3 rounds in a row.
He'd take off like a jet.
Spread his wings and fly. Big investment from mates again, of course, and the same thing can be said for Movistar Koi. They'll be able to buy even if they lose this round. Keep building up those ultimates as well. Orbital Strike online. Filu one away from a showstopper, and Solkas isn't far himself. This is definitely somewhere that we could see them save those ults up and invest them later. Or burst it now, and risk tapering out.
Thunder available, and it actually would connect, but you can see the adjustment. No, I really like this. Movistar Koi saw that ultimate come online and then immediately moved. Click has now gone down. He has been struggling in this second half after a stellar first half. And Morkada trying to fill in the gaps. He's just gone in alone. There's nobody else even remotely close. Now we have that rolling thunder coming in, but like, how is that ever going to find any value? And if you think you've got an open site on the other side, you must know by now that you might get the rotation of 4 players, but Flyer has not left.
He's always here. They could even spam it out. You got to assume it. They've got players on either side, but Fly is not taking the bait. Showstopper's on its way to back him up. 12 seconds left. He just has to delay, and he won't take Zipan. In fact, Kamek is stepping up for a triple. Gentlemates have the Showstopper to contend with. The nade in, the time low, the spray. Good for Filu and Movistar Koi. At long last, they've taken a series. 13-9, 13-6 at the buzzer. They've done what nobody thought they could.
They've ended it with a Red Bull clutch, the start duelist. And of course, a big victory for them. I think for many coming into today, and many of these sort of like lower matches, you didn't really think there was too much on the line. But I think for this squad, it meant a lot to prove that, okay, we were doing work, we were trying to get ourselves to a point of victory, and although it came right at the end, smiles all round for Koi.
It might be too late for playoffs, but like we said, you got your champ points, but you've got the pride of not just taking a map, but taking a series off a team who have pushed some of the best to their limits. This is the win that they've been waiting for, and a well-deserved victory lap